Hello and welcome back to the Stage Door. We are headed into a very busy season with Canberra Arts and the Graham Academy, so we're taking the opportunity to do this on Canberra Arts Presented Show here on Rogers TV and talk about what the Graham Academy is doing. So, of course, the Graham Academy is the youth division of Canberra Arts. It's our education pillar that supports young folks in discovering their musical theatre journey, as well as programs in digital art making and choreography, and some in music lessons as well. But our musical theatre programs have their year-end performances coming up at the Corner Brook Arts and Culture Centre. That will begin with 101 Dalmatians and Bye Bye Birdie in a double bill that features our Moonbeams, Showstoppers, and junior ensembles, so students from grade 1 up to grade 8 in that double bill performance. That happens on May 29th and 30th. And then June 4th to 6th, our senior company takes the stage with Chicago. I'm here with a couple cast members of Chicago now. I'm here with Lauren and Kat. So thanks for coming on to the Stage Door, folks. Good to see you. Yeah. So of course, you know, we're very familiar with each other. We've been working all year. But the audience may not be. Perhaps they are familiar with seeing some of you on stage. You've both been on stage a couple times in Corner Brook now. But Lauren, we'll start with you. Where we always like to start with the Stage Door is the beginning. So where did it all begin, your artistic journey? Of course, music's perhaps a major influence in your life. I know you've talked about that on the Stage Door a little bit before. But what has that, where did it begin?
With theater and with music as well. It all kind of started when I was a little child. I come from definitely a musical family. My mother's a pianist, and my grandfather, he played guitar and violin and a bunch of other things as well. So I was kind of born into oh, you're gonna go do music, you're gonna go do theater, and I was like, okay. And then in first grade, I was encouraged by Gary Graham to do the school's production of Oliver. And that's kind of where it all began. And then I think the next year, I joined Graham Academy, and here we are today. Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, Gary's involvement through the community and particularly Immaculate Heart of Mary School in more recent years, and thankfully Graham Academy when we got it started. You know, I'm sure there are many people in the region who share that story, you know. Myself, Gary came to me, you know, I remember I was a little later getting involved in music, but when Gary set up our lesson time, it was, all right, what time? It wasn't a, would you like to do lessons? It was, when are you doing them? So, you know, Gary had that power that you were like, okay, Mondays. So, you know, it was a pretty amazing thing. And I think that story is a beautiful thing from this region, and from doing this show. We hear so often that it's family and teachers that really can help shape that journey. So of course, Kat, you are not originally from here. You moved here.
Yeah.
So where did your journey begin for you as a performer?
My journey definitely began when I was really young. I was in third grade, or not third grade, I was 3 years old and I joined ballet. And I wasn't able to do a big performance because my brother was being born later that year, so we had to come out here. It was a whole thing. But my first performance was when I was 4 years old, and it definitely started my performance journey. And I joined choir since then and theater since then. And musical arts wasn't a really big thing back in Iqaluit, which is where I had grown up. And so it was really nice being a part of that, and how it just grew and watching it grow. So.
Yeah. So, you know, we always say that, you know, Corner Brook is an incubator. It really is for the arts. So, you know, Kat, it's really great to hear that from someone who has come from away to feel that and see that. I mean, you and I connected the first time when I was helping out with Corner Brook Intermediate with their musical, and I think that's such an important thing that I'm able to do through Canberra Arts, is to go into the schools, because that is often where people make that discovery to then decide, no, I want to commit to this. I want to do more of this and see. So that's a wonderful thing to hear, that, you know, you felt that when you arrived here.
Yeah.
I would say the next question for us is, what, and we'll start with you, Lauren, what draws you to perform, you know, especially performing musical theater, something that has singing, acting, dancing, often in equal measure. Sometimes, you know, things sway a little bit. Chicago, certainly dance is pretty prioritized. So what draws you to stay and to commit so much time? Because for those that don't know, it is a lot of time. Tech Week itself is like,
Yes.
you know, 20 or more hours of rehearsal back to back to back, but even through the year, it's a big time commitment. So what keeps you going?
So, as you know, when I was like a little tiny child, I started with music and piano and dancing, and I always loved. When I joined Graham Academy, I always loved the camaraderie that was there as well, and I've always loved to like step into a character and like feel like the confidence that you get from a character, like with Velma Kelly specifically. She is a very, very like confident lady, and I love stepping into that character and just getting to be that confident person. And yeah.
Yeah. No, it is, you know, to put on that mask
Yeah.
is an enjoyable thing. And of course, this is obviously a highlight for you, but what have some other highlights of your artistic journey been?
Honestly, like there's a lot of highlights. Like I can't, there's honestly too many to pick from specifically. Like I love doing the community musicals specifically. I love getting to work with some people that are like younger than me, and then a lot of people coming in from the community. It really provides a sense of like, oh yeah, like it provides like a sense of belonging, and like a sense of like community, like getting to know everyone, and it's just yeah.
Yeah, no, I do think the community musical as a structure, you know, we've done 3 now, but it is a valuable opportunity, you know, where
Yeah.
it lines up, and to have a chance to work with other groups and younger students as well as community members, you know, it helps remind me that, you know, I grew up through Theatre Newfoundland Labrador's youth program, and that it was so spectacular. You know, I started that in grade 4 and then graduated through that program. And that was what was here at that time. And I did lessons with Gary. But, you know, it just shows that Graham Academy has added to the community in a way. And I think those community shows, you know, Theatre Newfoundland Labrador did them for a number of years and then stopped. And of course, Off-Broadway Players has a fantastic community of performers that are all adults. So to do one that features young folks as well as adults, it's an awesome thing, and it's awesome to hear that you enjoy that. Kat, what about you? What keeps you in musical theater? What keeps you going?
Very similarly to Lauren, it's definitely like the community that is brought together. I'm a very antisocial person, like in every aspect of my life, but being able to be in a room with people who I know share a similar passion to me, which is musical theater and dance and singing and all that stuff, it's really comforting, and it really just brings me the confidence to be able to be myself behind the scenes and be a character in front of the scenes and like on the stage. And
Yeah, no, and I think that's a common story, especially from youth, is that it is, you know, it's a wild thing. There's a study that happened about kind of people's biggest fear, and the second most common fear is dying, and the first most common fear is public speaking. So, you know, to then perform musical theater
Yeah.
is like, wow, that's like you have overcome that. So it's a really interesting thing, I think, in that you know, both of you identify the same kind of thing of getting able to step into a character, and you know, on the other side, you're bringing yourself to that character. You know, every interpretation of a character is different by the actor who is playing it, because your experience is what helps to shape the character. So Kat, what would be a couple highlights for you in terms of some moments, not necessarily a character you played, but also could be a moment on your journey?
a big moment on my journey was definitely in first grade. I was part of the choir in Nakashuk Elementary School, and at the time, Prince and Duchess of Cornwall had came to visit Iqaluit, and my school was volunteered to perform for them, and so being able to perform in front of royalty was definitely a big part of that, and definitely a big highlight. But another highlight is like being able to put myself into a role, and on the stage. Like when I was younger, my first ever role was Tweedledum, and being able to put myself into that was really fun because it wasn't me, but I could still behave like me. And now I'm playing Amos, and it's not me, but still behaves like me, and it's like just a really big highlight to be able to put part of myself into a role and perform that role.
Yeah, no, and of course Alice in Wonderland, very frequently done by
Yes.
youth programs. It's a timeless story that's really
Yeah.
been adapted into 100 different ways, certainly
Yeah.
one that we did too.
Yes.
Lauren had her time as the Queen of Hearts.
My
Speaking of
debut.
confident,
Yep.
lady characters, that's another
Definitely.
one for sure. A little different than Velma, but still
Yep.
she rules the joint, so
Yeah.
I can see some similarities there. I think before we dive into talking about Chicago and why we're
Yeah.
taking on this show and this story, Lauren, let's talk a little bit about your recent experience with the Corner Brook Regional High Concert Band.
Yes.
That's awesome. You got to
Yes.
travel to nationals.
nationals.
So what was that like,
Oh my gosh, it was so great. Nationals was like such an amazing experience. We had such great experiences with like all the different adjudicators, and there was even a component that I really liked. We had to do some sight reading,
Yeah.
which was a really good experience because it like gets you like thinking about like, okay, yeah, we have to like play this now, and like, okay, yeah, definitely. But it was just such a great experience just to go and like get all the critiques from the different clinicians, and once again experiencing the camaraderie that is found through music and through theater.
No, I mean, travel is such a valuable thing. Our choir Silver and Voices have went on a couple travel experiences, and it's so special because, what changes about it and what changes for, I think, all theater is like during Tech Week or during a trip, everyone's primary focus becomes the show or the
Yeah.
performance. And that's a beautiful thing because the musical theater performers of Corner Brook, for those who do not know, are extraordinarily busy people. Many do lessons in various music, but many also are heavily involved in sports. I think theater is an amazing thing because it attracts people who are the activists in the community, who are often the activators of communities and builders of communities, but it also provides a space for people who are building up confidence to explore. And I think that's a rare thing that both of those things coexist, but a really special thing that they do. Now, of course, this year we're doing something very different for our senior company. And our senior company, I should note, we've always tried, particularly with that group, to do shows that capture different styles of music, movement, and theater. Mean Girls last year, of course, set in the high school bustling hallways, and that has some pretty intense content, and it is but it's content that you deal with
Yeah.
every day. It's not that far of an extraction. The truth is pretty on the surface there, I think. And previous shows that the senior company have done included Godspell, which is a retelling of some of the parables of the Bible. And again, that show's all about community, but very different score, very different style. I think in an odd way, Chicago's similar to both of those because in Godspell, everyone had to stay on stage the whole time. Chicago, that's part of the telling, is that everyone is part of the moment and part of the background as much as they are the foreground. And then Mean Girls, Chicago is Mean Girls in the 1920s. I would argue there's some serious similarities there. So I think, it's an interesting thing that we don't think of it. We think of Chicago as very, very different from those things. But in reality, there's a lot of similarities in the plot, certainly, particularly between Mean Girls and Chicago, a shocking amount, I think.
Yeah.
So, what has it been like to step into this? Particularly, you're shifting, particularly you were one of the mathletes. And now you are Velma. You were the principal in Amos, and I think there's maybe some similarities there. So what has it been like to step into the world of Chicago? You know, that Fosse-inspired choreography. Kander and Ebb's music is so distinct across musical theater. You know those scores that they have done. Cabaret, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Chicago. They're distinct in the way that they sound. So what has it been like to step into that world?
Oh my gosh, it's been a wonderful experience overall. Like, as a person, I'm not like a very like confident like person that's like out there all the time, and like Velma definitely is that. So it's been super great to be able to like step into that character and just like exude the confidence that she exudes all the time.
Yeah. And speaking of confidence,
Oh yeah.
the opposite end of this coin is perhaps Amos. So
Yeah.
what has that been like to step into that character in this world?
As much as it's been really easy because a lot of my behaviors are quite similar to him, it's also been really like a difficult because especially with how different characters treat Amos, and since I'm not socializing with everyone outside of that, it's hard to see where those people begin and where the characters begin and like those differences. So a big thing in that is definitely the behaviors with other people, but a very good experience has also been being able to have different moments on stage where I'm just letting my little heart out, and especially with Mr. Cellophane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's perhaps one of the most known songs
Yeah.
of that show. There are a lot of songs in this show that are
Yeah.
very well known.
Oh,
All
it's
That
like
Jazz.
All That Jazz.
Cell Block Tango. I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
is iconic.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's a wonderful thing to think about. You know, we often think, you know, I'm sure some folks in the community who know the show or who have seen the movie, there's a fantastic movie, are like, oh my gosh, Chicago, the team. It's like, yeah, but I would strongly argue that Mean Girls actually has harsher content
Yeah.
than Chicago. Chicago has murder.
Yeah.
You know, let's acknowledge that. That's the key difference. You know, Mean Girls just has someone getting hit by a bus.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it is
Just someone getting hit by a
very
bus.
interesting. Part of that is the visual, of course, and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
shifting to be much more rooted in more traditional looks of the 1920s as opposed to the very transparent Fosse looks. We're still maintaining, you know, the black gloves, black dress, but certainly not something that's going to make people ooh, because that's important, you know, I think. But at the heart of this show, and I think why it's so important, is that it is still happening. It is about the power of celebrity and the power of celebrity over the media, and media sensationalizing the bad things, the crimes, the hangings, you know, and this is set in 1920s.
Yeah.
It is written in 1975. We are performing it in 2026. So, you know, 100 years after it's set, and the question is, has the world really moved on from that? No, we just get it on our phones now instead.
Yeah.
You know, so I think what has that been like to explore for you, especially coming from Mean Girls, which deals with really similar
Yeah.
issues in a microcosm of a school, as opposed to Chicago, the big city with the crime and the other issues. What have those similarities been like to explore, and thinking of your own life and how media impacts you?
Like, media definitely has like a strong impact on like all of us, especially with like, you know, if something happens in the world, oh, there's a ding on my phone now.
Yeah.
Okay, oh my goodness. It's still not, oh my goodness, sorry about that.
That's good.
It's definitely still like a prominent storyline, and it definitely still has an impact. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, truly, like.
And I think it's you know, in the 1920s there are photos in the newspaper, and it
Yeah,
was like
now it's
sometimes
like-
gory photos. But you know, not too long ago,
Yeah.
our phones, most of us, I would say,
Yeah.
a shocking amount of the world, saw someone get killed in real time without asking, no, you know, without looking for it. And I think that is so telling
Yeah,
of
yeah,
society
truly.
right now, and I think that's really why it's so relevant. You know, the big revival happened in 1996, so that's having its 30th year. And that was revived because the themes were relevant, and I
And
feel
they
they may be
still very
more
much are.
relevant
Yeah.
now. So, and also one exciting thing that we did this week was we had Jeff Sullivan, who is from St. John's or outside of St. John's, and has lived in New York for a number of years and done a lot of shows and made his first Broadway bow with Chicago. So a current cast member connected to Newfoundland. So what was that like to kind of talk to
Oh my
someone
gosh.
who's in that cast and in that company?
It was amazing just to hear like what his experiences were within the cast, and like hearing about like all the different like nuances and little details that they have in the Broadway company right now.
Yeah.
Because it's an incredibly detailed show, specifically with the courtroom scene.
Yeah.
Incredibly specific. So it was great to hear all about the different specifics that they have and what they're doing in the show, and kind of get a perspective of like what the show is, what's happening in the show, and like what they're doing, and how to, and letting that like inform the characters that we're all playing.
Absolutely. What about you, Kat? Anything you noticed in that took away?
I really liked how he just like really openly spoke about his experiences, especially in the show, and how like everyone was so brought together as a community, and like it really felt like it related to our group because everyone's so close to each other. It was just like a nice reflection knowing that even though the show is crazy and filled with murder and cheating and guts and gore at that point, the cast is always together in that, and like they're always building a community between themselves. And when he like practically said that, I was like, that's like our cast really much.
Yeah. No, and I think that's the powerful thing is people sense community, right? And people
Yes.
sense
Yeah.
the message you're putting out to the world. And I do think, yes, this show is style. There is vaudeville, we have all those gags. There's clowning, essentially. I mean, the courtroom is clown. And so it should be.
Yeah.
Yes.
So often we see that in the legal system, that it's all a show.
Yeah.
And it is, you get the right lawyer,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're good. And I think that's what that show does in a very unique way, that it reminds us that so much of the world, even now, is still performative.
Yeah.
We're all putting on a mask to some level. So before we kind of talk about what's coming up, how to get tickets and all that stuff, very quickly, what would you say is one of your favorite moments in the show?
One of my favorite moments in Chicago is definitely getting to just sing my heart out at the top of the show with all that jazz.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's pretty iconic to get to do that walk down and have that moment,
And definitely another favorite moment is just all of the dancing that I get to do, specifically in I Can't Do It Alone and Velma Takes a Stand. That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
I get to just dance around and I get to do what I love on the stage, essentially, just like singing and dancing my little heart out,
Yeah.
It's just great to do that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, what about you, Kat?
I think my favorite part of the show, it's very small compared to yours, but it's definitely in the court scene where I get to showcase one of my very few talents of being a baby.
Hey, here we go.
And I really do enjoy that. The whole scene together is, I find like really comedic, but it is also very telling of the world now. And it's just really fun to be part of that scene, and in the background of that scene, like everyone plays their role, and it's one of my favorite scenes, definitely, and one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. No, it's a blast, and particularly that second act, things really click along. Act one is kind of build up. We get those big numbers, both reach for the gun, huge number in Act one, cell block tango, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Roxy, there's so much exposition, but then Act two is really where we get the ball rolling and see how the world works and how fast it moves, right up to the culmination. With the show, the performance at the end, the performative part. So I hope that some of the folks in the community are able to get to this show. It's playing for 3 nights at the Corner Brook Arts and Culture Centre, June 4th, 5th, and 6th. It's going to be a great experience. It's actually a combination of some tracks as well as live piano, which is going to be kind of fun to explore because vaudeville often had that piano. So to have our music director Jennifer Billard at that big grand piano center of the stage is going to be quite fun to add all those layers in. We get our riser, we get our platform, we get our staircase, we get our open pit to walk down into. There's lots of hidden entrances and magical moments to make this work, lots of lighting. And it's going to be a very exciting show to see our senior company take on. Of course, we have 101 Dalmatians and Bye Bye Birdie. That's a half-hour version and a 1-hour version of each of those as a double bill, May 29th and 30th. The 30th is a matinee performance. And we have school matinees for those shows that week as well. Coming up in Corner Brook, a couple other things at the Rotary Arts Center. Mallory Johnson, May 27th, fantastic country performer. Silver Wolf Band, May 29th, coming in from Labrador. And the Masters of Applied Literary Arts Showcase is on June 4th. That's going to feature a lot of students that have been exploring applied literary arts here in Corner Brook, so well worth seeing. And besides what we're doing at the Arts and Culture Center, so after June 6th, the Corner Brook Dance Hub takes the stage June 12th and 13th. And there's also a show coming in called Unbecoming. That's June 17th at 7 p.m. And stay tuned for Canberra Arts Summer. We have 2 summer camps, Broadway bound. Now the full 2-week version of that is actually at capacity now. But we also have our Broadway boot camp. So for performers that are in kind of junior high and up that are ready to try an audition for that, that's focused on solo performance and kind of building up the actor's toolkit for their performances. And we also have a summer season that includes Turncoat Hill, a beautiful Newfoundland show by Rory Lambert, Outport Echoes, that's our traditional and not so traditional Newfoundland music show, taking place at 110 Humber Road, and Railway Ties going back to the historic train site to deliver a brand new experience rooted in the history and generational connection between families on the train. So it's going to be a busy summer too from us at Canberra Arts, and it really all starts with our youth performances at the Arts and Culture Center at the end of May and first week of June. So Kat and Lauren, thank you so much for coming on to the stage door, and a special thank you to our gold level sponsor Harbour Financial for making all that we do possible in our community. And we will see you pretty soon either at the Arts and Culture Center or back here at the stage door. Thanks for tuning in.